Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Massaro, and welcome to NASCAR Now. The green flag will fly in Daytona Saturday night. The Sprint Unlimited kicks things off, and perhaps no one is looking forward to it more than Tony Stewart, as he'll get his first taste of competition in months. Coming up, the excitement doesn't stop there. Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch make their Stewart-Haas debut Saturday night. What can we expect from them this season? Danica Patrick continues to fend off her critics. What will she need to do in her second full season to earn respect from her doubters? And with the new chase format, clutch performance is critical. Who would be the money driver with the title on the line in Homestead?
I think the qualifying is great. I think as you go through I like the knockout stuff. I'm still sitting on the fence about having only...
Not literally knockout. That's not what they meant.
Only if necessary.
No.
That's, yeah.
I know you like fighting, but...
Yeah.
That's not what they meant. They're just...
If we're fighting, I'm kicking you in the leg.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's all fun and games now. But what happens once the pressure starts to build? Without question, the new team dynamic at Stewart-Haas has gotten people's attention. The addition of Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch to an already competitive team has the potential for some fireworks. Ryan McGee now on the new, not so politically correct Stewart-Haas.
In a world where so many heroes can feel so clean-cut, so corporate, a new, dirtier dawn breaks over the horizon. Four formidable foes have united to form a super team, their sights constantly set on the NASCAR establishment. And they never back down from a challenge.
I'm gonna bust his ass.
Boy, Tony Stewart is after Logano.
When she gets mad, she shows her frustration.
What the fuck was that?
Oh, gets punted by Ricky Rudd. Harvick into the outside wall.
He's going to take a cheap shot. He's going to get one back. I promise you that.
We're a bunch of idiots running around with no idea what we're supposed to do. Trying to tell somebody back in August. But no, Kurt's just got an attitude.
Oh, man, these guys aren't going to be able to get along. There's going to be blow-ups.
I know that everybody seems opinionated, and we are.
It's definitely a motivated group, an emotional group.
It's like everybody's been so quick to jump on this is a lit fuse that could explode at any minute.
Each member so different, yet so much the same. Each possesses special skills, but here those traits aren't seen as trouble. They're embraced.
For them to be happy and perform at their best, they gotta be themselves. They can't sit there and try to be somebody they're not.
Kevin Harvick is a Daytona 500 champion who outran the shadow of an intimidator. Fierce on the inside, smiling on the outside. He is happy. Danica Patrick, IndyCar starlet turned NASCAR heroine, determined to prove her mettle.
The first woman driver to lead a lap under green.
She is the Determinator. Kurt Busch, NASCAR champion and renegade with a hot streak.
Just went to my dark little dungeon, chomped at the bit to get back in the car.
He is the outlaw. Tony Stewart, a three-time champion who assembled this team in his own image. But struck down by a surprise villain 1 year ago, he now seeks vengeance.
Take this as your warning. I gave you guys 14 weeks off without me. I'll be brave for Daytona and be back kicking your ass again.
He is Smoke. Together, they are the Outsiders.
We all have had those pressure situations and those trying moments. We're a good support system for each other.
We're all each other's mentor, therapist. We all know each other the best because we are about the same person.
With Kurt, a lot of things that he's feeling in the car, I felt in the car.
Good job, man. Thanks, you too.
I know that I'm not Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, or Kurt Busch yet, but, you know, if I can run with these guys, it gives me an opportunity to look good. I like the spot I'm in.
It's going to be fun.
We're positioning ourselves for strength in numbers.
On paper, individually, it looks like it could be a great recipe for disaster, but this has got a lot of potential that people aren't paying attention to. We don't really care if everybody else sees it or not. We know it's a good equation.
No doubt, Tony, we will be paying attention. Don't go away, folks. Still plenty to come. Exemplified by Richard Petty's comments earlier this week, Danica Patrick still has plenty of critics. What does she need to do to change their opinion? And with the addition of Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch, Stewart-Haas has undergone a significant facelift. With that, what should we expect from Stewart-Haas this year? And with the championship up for grabs in Homestead, who would our experts like behind the wheel? They'll tell you who they'd want in this winner-take-all situation.
Swells and azaleas bloom. There will be green everywhere, but it won't be spring until the Masters.
This right here is why they start the season in Florida. That's the scene in Charlotte, North Carolina, as teams make their way south for this weekend's festivities. The Sprint Unlimited on Saturday night. This off of Eric McClure's Twitter feed, driving to DIS updates. And what do I see? Big trucks drafting. Thankful it's not 200 miles per hour, though, in this weather. With any luck, though, drivers will have gotten to Daytona okay and are ready for Daytona 500 Media Day Thursday. We've got 3 additional hours of coverage Thursday beginning at noon over on ESPN News. Among those we'll talk to is Tony Stewart, who is, at the very least, very eager to get back behind the wheel.
We just aren't going to know 100% until we get in the car, but you know, like I said, everything that we've done therapy-wise, and you know, we've built some contraptions to work on throttle position and work on the endurance of it. It's more been the anxiety of just, I want to get back in it. I've had to sit through the whole off season, and I feel like I could get in a car right now and go race. And the good thing is I got 2.5 weeks still to get ready, and judging off the progress each week, I mean, you give me 2.5 weeks, we're going to be in better shape than we are right now.
And Daytona is the track where he'll open up. It's a great place for him, too. He's won just about everything there is to win there, except for the Daytona 500. He's won the nationwide race there 7 times. He's won 4 Cup races there, all in the summer. He's also claimed the Sprint Unlimited and Bud Duel 3 times apiece, but is winless, as we say, in 15 Daytona 500 starts. Alan Bestwick and a roundtable now on what's to expect from Tony as he returns from injury.
No question, the most intriguing outfit for the 2014 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season is Stewart-Haas Racing and the cast of characters that they have collected there. Let's talk about their prospects with our roundtable panel, the Hall of Famer Dale Jarrett, champion crew chief Andy Petrie, and Sprint Cup race-winning driver Ricky Craven. I want to start with Tony, who says he's going to be 100% by Daytona. What are your expectations for Tony's results this season, and what can he achieve?
Well, we know the tremendous talent that Tony Stewart is. The limitations are going to be what physically can he do, especially at the first part of the year. I think you'll grow into that race shape that you get into, because you can work all in the gym and everything that you want, get yourself ready. But there's a mental and physical attitude that you have to take and get ready for inside the race car. I do think that Daytona is going to be a struggle for Tony Stewart. Right leg, you're on the gas all the time. It gets no break there. I think that this could be a difficult 500-mile race for him. From that point on, though, look for Tony Stewart to kind of get things back under him, and he will be a factor. He will win in this season, and he will get himself into the chase. But he's got a lot on his plate in putting all of this and keeping it all running in somewhat of a smooth fashion.
You just said, you know, he will make the chase. I'm just curious if he can stay close enough in the beginning part of the season while he gets his sea legs or his racing legs going, and pardon the pun on the leg thing, but I have experience with that, sure. To be in position to have a shot at making the chase over the summer.
Yeah, once again, you know, there are things drivers can overcome, but it's very difficult to overcome pain inside the race car because distraction is poison, and if he has that distraction, he's not Tony Stewart. You know, he's not the 3-time champ. He's another driver. So as mentally tough as he is, and as tough a customer as he is on the racetrack, I'm not betting against him. But I do agree with Dale, and I think it's a month or a month-and-a-half process to get back to, you know, his firing order, where he's on his game and at his best?
Well, there's some questions, obviously, about Tony and how he's going to perform, and I think he's going to answer those as we go. But one of the big questions I have is, you know, he's 6 months out of the race car. You talked about that. I don't think in his career he's ever been 6 months out of a race car. And being out of racing shape, I think, is going to be a big question that he'll have to answer. And I think there's some questions, too, about the relationship that he has with his co-owner, Gene Haas. I'm not, you know, how that whole thing developed into this four-car team now. Is that going to be any friction? How's that going to work out? I just say there's a lot of questions I think yet to be answered about Tony. And I heard him say that he was about 65% on that leg. Is 65% good enough to be out there competitive, even at Daytona? You know, a lot of questions to be answered.
So Tony, Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, some pretty strong personalities, some incredible racing talent as well. Is this going to be a super team or a super soap opera as we go through the season?
It seems like every team that's hyped up to be a super team never really, you know, it makes good on it. I think this team is going to make good on it. I really do. I think Harvick is going to come out there with a big agenda. He wants to go out there and prove something. And nothing's more dangerous than a driver that has something to prove and has talent like Kevin Harvick. Same thing with Kurt Busch. He's got a lot to prove. Still hasn't won a race in a long time. I think he's going to be dangerous out there. We're going to, and then Tony, they got so much to prove. I think that they are going to be successful.
We know all we need to know about Kurt Busch and his ability. The same with Kevin Harvick, the same with Tony Stewart. We don't know a lot about Gene Haas, and I believe 2014 will be the emergence of Gene Haas. He's going to be more visible, he's going to need to be more visible, and he's going to have to manage this. From all angles, this is something that he was the catalyst in creating. And it has the potential to be outstanding, Hendrick-like. But it also comes with a lot of risk, because when personalities like Tony's or Kurt Busch or Kevin Harvick's head in the wrong direction, there has to be a referee. Tony can't be that guy this year. In my view, it has to be Gene Haas.
Well, with all due respect to other teams and drivers and the amount of talent they may have, driver-wise talent, those three race drivers are as talented as anyone else that will be racing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But there's a lot of things that are going on there within that organization. All of these drivers have crew chiefs they haven't worked with, so they've got that dynamic. They added another team. They're fortunate that they have a great relationship with Hendrick Motorsports and rely on them a lot to get their stuff. This is going to be a work in progress. To think that they're going to come out and set the woods on fire right from the very beginning. Now, Daytona is wide open. Anything can happen there, and they'll all be competitive there. But from that point forward, how quickly can they start things happening in a good direction? And that's imperative, in my mind, for them to have a good season. Somewhere early on, they better have some success, because if they don't, then they all start splitting off. It could be dangerous.
How intriguing this whole group is, shown by the length of our discussion. And we're not quite done yet. More coming up in a minute.
That's for sure, Alan. Still to come, Danica Patrick ended last season 27th in the standings. But with a full year under her belt, what can we expect now?
Freshest in Mention TV. Go online now.
Be sure to join us for the nationwide race in Daytona Saturday, February 22nd. Coverage begins at noon on ESPN. Of course, the following day, the Sprint Cup season begins as Danica Patrick looks to improve from last year.
I mean, our goal is ultimately, of course, to progress from where we were last year, but we really didn't finish in the top 15 very much, and I think that's something we thought we were going to be able to do based on just the 10 races that I had done in 2012. So it's the goal again this year. You have to set one goal, and then once you achieve it, move on to the next one. But I really feel like this is a year where we might not make a small step in the right direction, but I feel like we'll hopefully make a big jump in the right direction.
Since coming to NASCAR, Danica Patrick has maintained realistic expectations, and as you just heard, that hasn't changed. She's not predicting victory, just improvement. Finishing 27th in the standings a year ago, there's definitely room for that. Earlier this week, Richard Petty made his expectations of Danica very clear. But what does Alan Bestwick and our roundtable think?
Our NASCAR Now roundtable discussion of Stewart-Haas racing continues with Dale Jarrett, Andy Petrie, and Ricky Craven. Talked about Tony and his prospects, talked about Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch. Danica Patrick will be somewhat overshadowed this year as the fourth entrant on that team. Expectations for her season are what?
Yeah, that may not be a bad thing for her. But I expect her to be more competitive. She had a year of driving these cars, understanding what it takes, kind of things she's looking for. I think for me to look at it and say that she's made some more gains, then I want to see her running more towards that top 15, getting there. You know, I'm not expecting saying she's got to go out and run the top 10 all the time, but some of those would be good. To be more competitive, I saw her really racing better and making more passes, competitive passes, the last half of last year, and I think that's encouraging. But she's got a lot to draw from there, and she has any questions, one of those three can surely answer that.
Wouldn't it be crazy if the first Stewart-Haas driver to win a race would be Danica Patrick at the Daytona 500? That's where it could happen.
Yeah.
In my mind, I think that's her best shot to ever win a race, be at one of the restrictor plate tracks. And she does a great job at those, but I think she's got a long way to go on a lot of the other ones. I agree with you, Dale. I think she made some progress, but, you know, to put her in that group that she's going to be with, talent-wise, she's not, I mean, honestly, she's not as talented as those three. She's going to learn a lot from them, and I think they'll push her to be better, and I think she pushes herself to be better. But she's got to get a lot better to be in a top 5 contender, and you're not a contender to win these races unless you can run the top 5. And I see her best shot being on the restrictor plate tracks, but she has improved, and I need to see a lot more.
I've watched Danica closely, and she hasn't underachieved in my view. I think she's done a really good job managing the tracks, understanding this type of discipline. She's crossed the line, made some mistakes. And in 2014, she has to really measure, be careful and manage those mistakes, because I think this will be the most pressure she's ever had, certainly in stock cars. Last year, a rookie season, you're dismissed automatically. You understand that the second go-round, second half of the year, you expect to get better. But it's different than that sophomore year. Sophomore year, there's going to be a lot higher expectations. And that oftentimes leads to a driver overdriving. And we see with this car, if you overdrive, you're usually headed backward before you realize it. And I think it's going to be a difficult year if she doesn't have a good first 2 months in 2014.
Key to measuring Danica's expectations. Last year, the team said their cars weren't very good. Mm-hmm. How well the other three cars run will determine the level of expectation and how we measure whether Danica herself has improved or not. So, 4 cars on this race team, 16 cars in the chase. For the most focused on story of the season, Stewart-Haas Racing, how many of their cars make the championship?
Well, the number that I'm going to use is based only because of now we have 16 that make the chase. In a 12-driver chase scenario, the way that it was until this year, I would have said 1 would be good. But I believe because winning gets you there, there are no more capable drivers of figuring out a way to get to victory lane than Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, and Kurt Busch. I think those 3 drivers, so 3 of the 4 get in the chase.
Well, there are 3 drivers that should be there. I agree with you. If this is going to be on tape and you're going to bring it back, and I've got to predict it, which I think it is, I want to say 2 of them. I think that's more realistic. I think to see 2 of those guys be in the top 16, have a chance for the championship, I think is an expectation that I have for them. I wouldn't be surprised if there's 3, but 2 is what I'm going to predict.
I'm going to say 3. I would say 3 even if it were 12. I have not seen more strong-minded people than these 3 personalities. Sure, Jimmy Johnson sets the bar. Jeff Gordon is exceptional. But when it comes to making up your mind and willing your way to victory lane, you're talking about 3 of the best. So over the course of 26 races, you're going to see each of these cars go to victory lane. I'm not dismissing Danica, but she's not in that same category yet.
I know this, for all the speculation and conversation about how this group will fare together, the best part of the whole thing is going to be seeing Tony Stewart climb back behind the wheel of a race car and go racing again. That'll be really nice.
It'll be great to see. Straight ahead, 1 race for all the marbles. That's how this season's finale will break down. So which driver would our experts like to see behind the wheel?
I think it's great for me, that's for sure. I think that every kind of format that I've heard about the chase and everything, really benefits me a lot. I mean, there's the whole thing of win a chase race and move on. All that seems great for our team in particular. This Homestead's one of our best racetracks, no doubt about it. So, but it's going to take a lot of work for us to get back to that point.
If the championship were basically determined by Homestead, I think we'd have some championships right now, because I don't know that there's a team that's better at Homestead than us. I think statistically we're as good as anyone or better. So yeah, that's a real positive for us, and you know, for that reason, I would be real excited to go to Homestead under the new format.
Indeed, there are some drivers who are hoping to be championship eligible come Homestead. Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle, Carl Edwards, they're all pretty good there. Meanwhile, Jimmy Johnson, he's winless in 13 Homestead starts. So, with the championship on the line, who would our roundtable experts want behind the wheel?
One of the big focuses of this entire next 9 months is going to be that one last race in November at Homestead Miami Speedway to determine the champion among 4 drivers. We're all going to speculate how it's all going to play out, starting right now with our roundtable panel, Dale Jarrett, Andy Petrie, and Ricky Craven. If you had to pick one driver going into that last race that you said, if he's in it, he's dangerous, watch out for him, who's it going to be?
You know, the logical answer, and I think we would all agree that Jimmy Johnson would be that person, but I'm going a little different. I look at Brad Keselowski as kind of a gunslinger. He embraces opportunities like that. One shot at it, you guys outrun me, beat me here for 400 miles. Show me what you got. I think that he does whatever it takes. I think that he might be the 4th driver going in and not had the best stats, but he got himself there, and he becomes the most dangerous in that situation.
Okay, we've seen one of these chases come down to one race, last lap, have to win. We saw one guy do it, and I know we've kind of left him out of the picture a little bit because of his injuries, but Tony Stewart is still Tony Stewart. I think if he gets to that last 4, which I think he's got a chance to, I am not betting against him. I saw what he did. He took those, what, we won 5 races out of 10 in the chase and won the championship. Now, you got to call that dangerous.
Yeah, I'm going with Jimmy Johnson, and but I'm going to sort of broaden the discussion in that it brings into play so many different characters with different personalities. For instance, you can bring Carl Edwards into the equation because Carl Edwards, if he makes up his mind, can carry a car for one race. Kyle Busch, same thing. Don't forget guys like Greg Biffle. How many times have we seen Greg Biffle on a 1.5-mile track light him up? Yeah. You know, just out of nowhere, he can do that. That's what's intriguing about this format is for one day on one track, if your crew is on their money and your spotter's doing his job and the engine runs like it should, there are a handful of drivers that can light it up.
Did I use the phrase most dangerous when I posed the question? The guy that's the most dangerous in that final 4 in the final race at Homestead is the guy that's running second of the 4 behind the first guy going at that white flag. That's the guy that's going to be the most dangerous.
Wouldn't that be fun? There will be some fireworks after that one for sure. That does it for us tonight. Thanks for being with us. A quick reminder, Thursday is Daytona 500 Media Day. We've got 3 hours of coverage beginning at noon on ESPN News. One of the drivers we'll be speaking with is Tony Stewart, who's hoping to make a triumphant return from last year's injury and get back to championship form. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon. Ricky Craven will be with us.